I'm really good at that, you know, just blocking out what people are saying. You know, you're only as good as your last game. That's a mentality I have. After every game, I always want to improve. That's the person I am, so I never read into what anyone's saying. I just try and focus on myself.
Phil, terrific to see you. What a tale you've got. But let me take you right the way back to the beginning. When can you first remember having a ball at your feet?
I remember just going out, playing on my car park close to my house, playing football at like the age of 5 or 6, and that's where it started really. And then yeah, I just enjoyed my football, playing with friends on the street, and it became more of an important thing year by year.
And at the time of the hobby, did you have any other hobbies, or were you just totally devoted to kicking a ball around?
At the time, it was always football, 100%, just playing every day. And then when I got a bit older, I started going fishing with my dad a little bit in my spare time. But yeah, it was just mainly always football. Yeah, I enjoyed it a lot.
So we didn't have the problem that I have in trying to get my kids off consoles sometimes to kick a ball. You wanted to kick a ball before you went on them then?
All day and come back late, it was just, yeah.
And what was that sort of like, you know, the street footballer, if you like, just kicking around? I guess you were playing with older and bigger lads? Yeah,
that was it really, you know. I was playing against a lot of older lads and more physical, but I feel like that's helped me in today's game, you know, just playing on the street and learning skills on the concrete pitches, and I think it makes you who you are, you know. So yeah, any young kid growing up, I think, just enjoy your football and try and play anywhere you can really, and you know, it's a start.
I've been told about a family nickname. Ronnie?
Yeah, that's right, Ronnie.
What was that about?
Well, obviously my dad's called Phil as well, so when I was younger, it was my nana that suggested it for me to be called Ronnie as a nickname, and yeah, it just kind of stuck really.
Where did it come from? Why Ronnie?
I don't know, my nana just made it up, to be honest. It was just what she thought, what she liked as a name, so yeah, like I said, it stuck with me, and when I still go back to Edgerley, still people still call it me to this day.
Really?
So yeah, so it's quite strange when I come here and get called Phil and go home and get called Ronnie. It's quite strange.
And you touched on the fishing there. That was the one other area that made you switch off, and something you did with your dad. Do you still do that today? Yeah, I still do it now. Probably not around this time. It's quite cold for it now. But yeah, I think it's good after games, you know, when you've played such a hard game, just to switch off and go and rest the legs, and you know, it's a bit of a free time for me and my dad, and yeah, it's something I've always enjoyed doing. You've played for one of the incredible managers the game has seen. What has he been like with you? Not just at the moment, but since the debut, and you know,
yeah,
easing you in, if you like.
Yeah, he's looked after me. You know, he's played me in like cup games to start off with, and yeah, he's built me up, and he's been, you know, massive for me just to train with him and see his tactics in training, and how much he learns. Every player is unbelievable, and yeah, it's just a pleasure to work with him, and your career goes so quick, so I just want to enjoy it every day and, you know, not take it for granted.
What's he like? Because the City fans obviously only most of the time see him in front of the interview camera. What's he like on a day-to-day basis for young players? I've
never seen anyone like actually love the game like him, you know.
Really?
You could obviously see on the touchline sometimes when how passionate he is, you know, how he wants the best from everyone every single day without a break. So he's the most passionate guy I've ever seen for football, and yeah, that can only help us as a group, and yeah, it can only help us really.
I just love football. I just love watching football. I love playing football. Well, when I was a young lad, I only ever wanted to play for Aston Villa. To do it at 18 was obviously, these are the things that you dream of.
Jack, great to see you. When was it in your mind that you thought, hang on a minute, you know, I could actually make a living? I'm pretty good at this, and this is something I want to do.
If you're thinking about like making a living and stuff, it weren't until like I was older, you know. When you're a young kid, all you want to do is just be a footballer. You know, you look at all these guys, and you know, when you're a young kid, I used to love Juan Pablo Angel, Benito Carbone, Bon Lahore. They were all just idols to me. And you know, you just enjoy yourself, don't you? Every time you have a ball at your feet, you know, you just, you know, you loving life. And it wasn't until I was a bit older, really, so I was about 13, 14, where you think, you know, I could make a living out of this game, and I could actually become a professional footballer.
Am I right, it was around that age, 13, 14, that you're playing a lot of Gaelic football as well?
Yeah, I used to play a lot of Gaelic. I've done that since I was young, from about 10.
So our viewers won't have any idea what the sport is. So can you try and give us an idea of what it was and how it helped you?
It's an Irish sport. Obviously gets played a lot in Ireland. You know, they have two sports over there, which is hurling and Gaelic. I'm not too sure what the more popular sport is out of the two. But yeah, it's just like, I suppose you can kind of play it like football if you want, but you know, if you're dribbling with the ball, you have to like do kick-ups in your hand as well at the same time. So it's more like, it's quite technical actually, and it's rough. I'll tell you that, especially as you get older. You know, I used to get whacked all the time, which I think, you know, helps me now in this day and age. Obviously, been kicked a lot. But yeah, it was just something that I used to just love when I was younger. My dad used to love it. My mum used to love watching me, and I loved it, and it obviously helped me.
Or was there one moment where it was like, hang on, we've got to stop Jack playing this? He's getting, you know, his.
It was Villa. Villa come and see me and says, like, well, come and see me and my dad, and says that you have to stop playing now. It was obviously, I started doing well at Villa at the time, and they still knew that I was playing Gaelic. And like I said, you know, the older you get, the probably more rougher it gets. So they just said to me, like, we would like you to stop playing this now and concentrate on your football, which I did do.
And if we wind the clock forward a few years and we talk about something that moulded you to be the player you are today, just tell us about your loan period at Notts County, what that did for you, that season there.
It was massive. I wasn't actually meant to go on loan that year, and I had a little bit of a falling out with the manager at the time, which was Paul Lambert, and I just got sent to Notts County, who were coming bottom of League One at the time. And looking back now, it was the best thing I've ever done. I was playing men's football week in, week out. You know, it's way different to what you're playing with here. You know, people are fighting for their lives, trying to pay their mortgage off every week, and it's the real world down there. And I absolutely loved it. I'll always have a soft spot for Notts County in my heart, and any advice that I could ever give to a young lad now 18, 19 would be not to try and hang around and play reserve team football. If you can, get yourself out there and go and play on loan, because it helped me so much. And
you had to stick up for yourself as an 18-year-old kid playing in League One. I think it was 5 goals but 9 yellow cards. Were there times where you thought, you know, it sort of made you grow as a guy as well as a footballer?
Yeah, you know, you've got to. You can't just go down to them leagues, you know, and just get kicked about, you know. I think I've always been like that. I've always been a little bit, I don't know what the word is, a little bit leery. As soon as I'm on the pitch or the training pitch, you know, I'd always give it back to someone, or no matter who they are or what age I am. And I think that's just made me who I am today.
When you see your names on the back of the paper getting linked with Premier League moves, it's flattering in a way, because you see these big names and big clubs being linked with you and you think, oh, is that realistic? Could that actually happen? But it didn't distract me at all. It just made me want to play even better, to be honest. It's so important that you don't forget your foundation and where you came from, and I wouldn't be playing in the Premier League and have represented England if it wasn't for Coventry, because they kind of nurtured my pathway.
And at what point did you sort of go from the academy near that first team group and get a sniff of a chance there then?
I went to train with the first team, I think, when I was 16, and then maybe a couple of weeks of training and I was on the bench as a 16-year-old, because at Coventry, with my pathway, I was never at a big club where, like, you can go into the under-23s where you have a big academy and beautiful facilities and stuff. We were down to the bare bones at Coventry. We had no money and stuff. Stephen Presley was in charge, and listen, an injury, and you're looking at the scholars, you're looking at the 16, 17-year-olds to put on the bench because we didn't have the resources, we didn't have the numbers.
You think that helped you massively?
Definitely, and I always say there's no right or wrong pathway. Sometimes being in a big club is good, and you can have the facilities to go and maybe have better resources to go and show how good you are, or better coaches maybe at that time. But I think my pathway was perfect for me, because I got that exposure early on, because literally they looked at, I think we had a couple of injuries in midfield, they looked at the scholar change room and I was just a 16-year-old small skinny boy, and he was willing to throw me in because I'd had a couple of good training sessions, so he hadn't really seen much of me. But I think he was impressed with what he saw, and I was on the bench as a 16-year-old, nervous, family in the crowd, Stevenage way, I'll never forget it. Just seeing my shirt saying Madison 36, and it's like, wow, like, I'm here kind of thing as a 16-year-old boy looking back, and it was a brilliant moment for me, yeah.
You mentioned the manager there, Stephen Presley. A lot of people say their first manager's
yeah.
a big influence in their career. What did he do with you? Why was he so good for you at the time?
Treated me like a man, you know, and put me into training, wasn't afraid to shout at me, even if at the time I thought, why is he shouting at me again, you know? I remember one time I had to do a hydration test. You have to do a hydration test before 8:30 a.m. where you just have to go and urinate in a pot, and it's just whether you're hydrated enough. And I think I'll put mine down 4 minutes late, and the pots had already been collected, so I thought I'll leave it there or whatever, and that would just get collected and done. And he pulled me into his office and shouted at me for putting it in late and made me wash his car. So at the age of 16, I was still out there with a hose and a sponge and washing his car. He'd come down and check on how I was doing. The minibus who would drop us home actually had already gone because I was so late. They couldn't wait around for me, so I think he ended up dropping me home after cleaning his car. So little stories like that have made me into a tougher person. And I look back and I think, maybe at the time I was thinking, went home and had a moan to my mum and dad saying, no need for that kind of thing. But looking back now, it just made me stronger, made me mentally stronger. And I'm always grateful for the way he treated me, and just having that trust at a young age. And he still texts me now sometimes when I'm doing well, and we'll exchange messages. So I speak very highly of him.
When you talk about perception as a footballer, sometimes your confidence might be, by others, attributed to arrogance or something else. Does that anger you, or do you think, well, I can't do anything about that?
No.
Or when you have conversations like this, just put the real James Maddison across.
Yeah, that's it. And it doesn't anger me because I only really care about the people that know me, know how I am. And believe me, I always say, if I was ever going above and beyond of confidence towards arrogance, my mum would just slap me around here, you know, because that's not how I've been raised. And it might come across as arrogant, but people that know me and people that have worked with me day in, day out know what I'm like, and I've always been a confident boy in my own ability, and I think that's helped me get to here, so I'll never ever take that away because I'm here now because of that. But I would never want to come across as arrogant because that's not what I stand for. That's not what I would want from my family or my players if I was a manager. So I'd never want to come across as that, but people will always have their opinions, and that's just a way of life. So if they have that opinion, then I guess they're entitled to their wrong opinion.